Okay, I want you to try something with me for a second. If you can, just close your eyes for a moment.
All right, I'm with you.
I want you to picture two things, two completely opposite images in your mind. So, on one side, picture muddy water.
Okay.
And I don't mean just like a puddle. I mean a thick, churning brown river.
Yeah.
You know? It's heavy, it's full of silt and soil.
You can almost smell it, that earthy, wet root smell.
Exactly. It's the ultimate symbol of being grounded, right here in the physical, messy world.
It's gravity, it's weight, it's the stuff that, life crawls out of.
Yes, that's it. Now, on the other side of your mind, just wipe that image away and picture the absolute opposite. Picture starlight, but not the city sky kind of starlight. I mean, the cold, silent, brilliant void of deep space. It's weightless, it's infinite, it's the future, the unknown.
So you've got the ultimate heaviness on one side and the ultimate weightlessness on the other.
The soil versus the void, the past versus the future. And, usually in our lives, we're kind of told we have to pick one.
Oh yeah, you're either a down-to-earth person or you've got your head in the clouds.
We treat them like they can't exist at the same time, like they're mutually exclusive.
Right.
But today, we are diving into a source that just completely refuses to make that choice. We are unpacking this really dense, fascinating, and honestly, a pretty mind-bending piece of work. It's called The Origin of Cosmic RaRa, and it's by an artist and thinker named Noble D. Lamore.
And our mission for this deep dive, really, is to figure out how on earth you build a bridge between that mud and those stars.
It's quite a bridge, isn't it?
It really is. And this isn't just, a deep dive into some niche musical genre, though we are definitely going to talk about music.
A lot of music.
A lot of music. But we're not just talking about a specific beat or rhythm. This is a whole philosophy. It's a cosmology, a personal history, all wrapped into one. Lamore isn't just like making tracks. He's trying to create what he calls a cosmic consciousness.
That phrase, it just grabbed me immediately. Cosmic consciousness. It sounds so huge.
Almost intimidating, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you need to be wearing, I don't know, special robes to even discuss it.
Right. But the way Lamore breaks it down is actually surprisingly grounded. He's taking these ancient rhythmic traditions from Hades, specifically this thing called RaRa, and then he's mixing it with the grit of American boom-bap hip-hop.
And then filtering all of that through sci-fi mythology. It's this wild recipe.
To try and come out the other side with a totally new paradigm.
It's a synthesis of, roots and rockets. That's the best way I can put it. And what's so compelling, I think, about his approach is that he doesn't see these things as a contradiction at all. For him, the ancient drum and the spaceship are part of the exact same continuum.
Okay, so let's start there. The core concept,
Right.
before we get into all the history and the movies and everything, how does he actually define cosmic RaRa? Because he gets very poetic, very, very quickly.
He really does. He starts by calling it the vital rhythm of the worlds, and he capitalizes the R in rhythm. That's important. He's not talking about a simple drum beat.
No, this is the pulse of existence itself.
Exactly. And he immediately brings in that duality we were talking about. He says, on one hand, cosmic RaRa is literal. It's the fission and fusion of atomic nuclei. It's the sound of thunder, the speed of lightning.
So he's anchoring it in physics first, in these really violent, powerful, energetic forces, the stuff that makes stars burn.
Right. But then in the very next breath, he flips the coin. He says it's also muddy water. It is that which forms our DNA. It's the orchestration of the Creator.
So it's the massive scale, the star, the storm, and the microscopic, the DNA, the atom, at the exact same time.
It's that old Hermetic idea, isn't it? As above, so below.
It is. And this is where he brings in Afrofuturism. I mean, we hear that term a lot, but he seems to use it in a very specific way.
Very specific. He sees cosmic RaRa as a portal. He describes it as a kind of high-frequency vibration that's used to move forward. The whole point isn't just to make a cool song.
No, it's not about getting radio play.
The goal is to create new paradigms.
Yeah.
To transcend forms. He wants this music, this idea, to be boundless and timeless.
It's like he's taking the raw materials of his heritage, the mud, and literally trying to build a spaceship out of them.
That's the perfect analogy. And if we really want to understand how this spaceship is built, or how it even flies, we have to start with the chassis. We have to unpack the RaRa part of cosmic RaRa. We've got to go back to the roots.
Okay, section 1 of our dive, the roots. And what I found really honest is that Lamore starts with his own identity. He was born in Canada, but he's of Haitian, which is Haitian origin. And he talks about this idea of the Creole identity.
And that's a term I think a lot of people misunderstand. They hear Creole and maybe think of a language or a type of food from New Orleans.
Right. But he means something much, much deeper, doesn't he?
Oh, way deeper. He describes it as this complex accumulation of culture, almost like geological layers. He says that unconsciously he carries the cultural dynamic of the land itself. It's a blend of native or indigenous heritage, African heritage, the European colonial influence, and then all these waves of migration that came after.
So it's not a smoothie where it's all blended into one thing. It's more like a collision. There's friction there.
A constant friction. And he cites this specific academic work that seems to be a real anchor for his thinking. It's a book called Histoire musicale de Haiti by a musicologist named Claude Dauphin.
So what's the big takeaway from Dauphin's work? What's the central idea?
Dauphin proposes this paradox that's really at the heart of all Haitian music and maybe the Haitian experience itself. On one side, he argues, you have this fierce, determined conservation of African heritage.
Which makes sense. Haiti was the first Black republic born from a slave revolution, so holding on to those African rhythms and religions and social structures was a profound act of resistance. It was survival.
It was everything, keeping that flame alive against incredible pressure. So that's the preservation side of the paradox.
Okay, looking backward to stay alive.
Right. But at the exact same time, Dauphin argues there's the creation of a distinctly Creole style, something totally new that didn't exist in Africa and it didn't exist in Europe. It was born right there on the island.
So it's preservation and innovation happening simultaneously, holding on to the past while creating the future.
Which is the perfect setup for Cosmic RaRa, isn't it? L'Amour is doing the exact same thing. He's just adding a few thousand light years to the moving forward part.
He really is. But there's a specific layer of this history that L'Amour focuses on that I think often gets overlooked. When we talk about Caribbean music, we usually jump straight to the African drumming.
We do.
But L'Amour goes deep into the native, the Taino legacy first.
And this part is just fascinating because the indigenous Taino population was, they were decimated by colonization, disease, warfare, slavery, so their cultural traces could be harder to spot. They're like ghosts in the machine.
But L'Amour says they're vital to that muddy water concept. He starts with something called the Arreto.
The Arreto, yeah.
Can you paint a picture for us? What was this?
Well, the early Spanish settlers observed it and just called it a village festival. But that's a bit late. It was much more than that. It was ritualistic. It was the social glue. It involved singing and pantomime and this circular dancing. It was how they honored heroes or celebrated a harvest or worshiped their deities, which they called zemes.
It sounds like it was the central nervous system of their whole community.
It absolutely was.
Yeah.
And the music. The instruments he describes are incredible. These instruments of antiquity, I just want to hear them, but so many are incredibly rare now. Let's start with the mayohavo.
The mayohavo. Wow, even the name just sounds ancient.
It's a piece of organology, that's the study of instruments, that you almost never see today. It's a fretless, hollowed-out log drum. Now think about a modern drum. It has a skin, a membrane on top.
Right, animal hide or plastic, something that vibrates and makes the boom.
Exactly. The mayohavo has no membrane. It's just wood, like a hollowed-out log that you strike with sticks. The sound comes entirely from the resonance of the timber itself.
So it's purely resonant, like
Wow.
hitting a giant hollow tree trunk.
Precisely. And L'Amour really emphasizes how loud it was. The historical accounts claim it could be heard a league and a half away.
A league and a half, that's what, 4 or 5 miles?
Something like that. Imagine the dense, humid air of the Caribbean, the jungle canopy, and then this deep, hollow, wooden boom just traveling for miles. It's a communication device as much as it is a musical instrument.
Yeah, massive sound.
Huge. And L'Amour notes that while this specific instrument has mostly declined in Haiti, it was replaced by the African-style drums with membranes, you can still find variations of it in Cuba and parts of Central America.
Then he talks about the lambi. Now, this one I feel like I've seen in, movies about people stranded on islands.
The conch shell, it's a natural horn. You just blow into the shell. It was used for alarms, for war music, but also in these festivals. It has that piercing, almost mournful sound that carries so well over water.
Okay, and then there's this tongue twister. The tan boomerangwin.
The tan boomerangwin. This one is my favorite, just because of the physics of it. L'Amour suggests it might be related to something called the mosquito drum. It's an earth bow.
An earth bow? What does that even mean? Explain that.
It means you don't hold it. The earth is the instrument. You literally dig a hole in the ground to act as a resonance chamber.
You're kidding.
No. You cover the hole with something, maybe bark or a skin. Then you attach a string from that cover to a bent sapling or a stick, and you play the string. The literal dirt is the body of the instrument.
You cannot get more muddy water than that. The instrument is the ground you're standing on.
Precisely. It ties the music to the physical soil of the island in a way nothing else could. If you move to a new village, you have to dig a new hole. You have to tune yourself to the new earth.
Wow.
So Lamore is building this whole inventory of these ancient, resonant, earthy sounds. And his argument is that this is the DNA that eventually evolves into modern RaRa.
So let's fast forward. For listeners who haven't been to Haiti during Easter week, what is RaRa today? Lamore says this is where it's at.
Modern RaRa is the soundscape of the streets. It usually happens during Lent, the period leading up to Easter. And it's deeply, deeply tied to voodoo tradition. But like everything we're talking about, it's a mix.
It's never just one thing.
Never. It has echoes of that tiny processional culture we just talked about, but it also has French colonial elements. You'll see the musicians parading in these elaborate costumes that look like old European royal garments with lots of sequins and batons.
But the sound, I'm guessing it's not a symphony orchestra sitting in a pit.
Not even close. It's improvised, free form, pure rhythmic expression. It's raw energy that moves. The band walks for miles and the whole community walks with them. And the instrumentation is just key to understanding Lamore's cosmic take on it.
Okay, so what are they playing?
You've got the gobaka, which is a large drum. You've got the chancy, a pewter rattle that's often shaped like a cross. And then you have the kone.
Ah, the kone. I looked these up after reading this. They look incredible.
They're iconic. They're these long tin trumpets made from recycled metal.
Like from old oil drums or sheet metal from roofs.
Exactly. And they have this buzzing, distorted, incredibly powerful sound. It's almost like an acoustic fuzz pedal on a guitar. It sounds like a giant insect in the best possible way.
And what about the bamboo instruments?
Those are the vaskin. They're bamboo tubes of different lengths that you blow into like a bottle. But each one only plays a single note.
So the players have to interlock their rhythms to create any kind of melody.
Precisely. It's a collective effort. They create this rhythmic, breathy bass line. And you throw in whistles and scrapers called garage.
It just sounds like a wall of sound.
It is. It's a cacophony that becomes a harmony through sheer rhythm.
Yeah.
And this is the crucial point for Lamore. These ancient, earthy, improvised sounds, they provide the grounding. Can't launch a rocket without a launch pad. RaRa is the launch pad. The kone is the booster engine.
Okay, so we have the roots. We've got the history, the hollow logs, the tin trumpets. We understand the RaRa part. But how does Noble D. Lamore, a kid born in Canada, get from these muddy roots all the way to the stars? That brings us to section 2, the spark, his personal origin story.
And it's a real journey of self-discovery. He says he started his music production journey around the year 2000. And it's important to note, his starting point wasn't Haitian folklore. It was American boom-bap hip-hop.
Which totally makes sense. I mean, if you're a young producer in 2000, that's the lingua franca. That's the language everyone is speaking.
Absolutely. Those hard drums, the sampled loops, the gritty textures. Think DJ Premier or Pete Rock. But he says that even back then, he would sometimes experiment with sounds that felt closer to the island's tradition. It was just an instinct.
But the big shift came later.
Yeah, around 2010. He started working on these instrumental essays he called Amy Cosmic Fantasy, and that name eventually evolved into Cosmic RaRa.
He said he wanted to create something close to home, but with his own ear. He wasn't trying to just copy traditional RaRa, he was trying to evolve it. But what I really loved in this section was where he traces the emotional origin of it all. It wasn't in a studio, it was in his childhood.
This whole part is so evocative. He talks about these conversations he used to have with his cousin. Just kids, sitting around speculating on all the big questions.
The origin of the universe, aliens, the paranormal, metaphysics.
We all had those conversations, right? Sitting on a porch step, staring at the night sky, wondering if E.T. was real, or what happens when you die, or there's a multiverse.
Totally. It's that universal sense of childhood wonder. And Lamore talks about, staring at the sun even though you're not supposed to and being obsessed with eclipses. He says he would photograph every single full moon.
He was observing the cosmos before he knew how to articulate it with music. He was already tuning his antenna to that frequency.
And the soundtrack to that childhood was a mix, too. He remembers his mother singing these Kiskea lullaby songs from the island, but then there were the heavy hitters of compa and zouk.
Oh yeah, he lists the absolute legends. Taboo Combo, Skasha, #1, Kasev. If you grew up in a Haitian household, this music was it was like the wallpaper. It was always there.
But he mentions this one specific aha moment that I think is really telling. He recalls seeing adults let loose to a song by a band called Boukman Experience. The song was Kempasot.
And what was it about that moment that stuck with him?
It was the surrender. Seeing adults who are normally so composed and serious, worried about bills and work, suddenly just lose their composure and completely give in to the rhythm.
They almost entered a trance state.
Exactly. And that sticks with a kid. It shows you that music isn't just entertainment. It's a force. It can actually alter your behavior. It can liberate your spirit.
And Kemp Pasut is such a powerful anthem, too. It translates to, "My heart doesn't leap," or more like, "I am not afraid." It's a song about courage.
Wow. He also mentions seeing live performances that had a huge impact, seeing Wyclef Jean at Gare Windsor.
Wyclef, of course, being the global ambassador for Haitian culture and hip-hop.
And another singer, Joseph Dieudonné-Larose in Montreal. These were the moments that solidified the connection between the music and the energy it could create. But there's one anecdote in this section that really, really stuck with me, and it's not about music at all. It's about his art teacher, a man named Max Cosma.
Ah, yes, the philosophy of imperfection. This is such a crucial pivot point in his whole way of thinking.
So this teacher, Max Cosma, had a rule. He would never, ever give a student a grade of 100%. Even if the work was flawless, the best you could get was a 99.99%.
And his reasoning was, no artwork is perfect.
Now, for a lot of students, that would be incredibly frustrating. It feels arbitrary, you know. Why bother trying if I can never actually win?
Totally. But L'Amour just flips it on its head. He adopts it as a core philosophy. He realizes the quest isn't for perfection, it's for accurate articulation that leaves room for interpretation.
If you reach 100%, you're done. The conversation is over. There's nowhere else to go.
It's a dead end. And he says he wants to discard the M from impossible.
Which is such a beautiful play on words.
It is. If you stop trying to be perfect, you stop limiting yourself.
Yeah.
You open up all the possibilities of the imagination. And that is absolutely essential for something like Cosmic RaRa. Because if you're trying to fuse a bamboo trumpet with a synthesizer to talk to aliens, you cannot be worried about perfection in the traditional sense.
You have to be worried about expression. You have to be willing to be messy.
Messy like muddy water.
Exactly.
So we have the roots, we have the personal spark, but where did he get the vocabulary, the imagery, for the cosmic part? That brings us to section 3, the pop culture cosmos. Because L'Amour fully admits he is a fabric of pop sci-fi.
He's a geek in the absolute best way possible.
He is. And this is where the cosmic side of the equation really gets fleshed out. And it's fascinating how he categorizes his influences. It's not just, oh, I like sci-fi. He breaks it down into utopia versus dystopia. He's analyzing the sociology of these fictional worlds.
Let's talk about that. He starts with two pillars of the genre, Star Wars and Dune. But he takes very different things from them, doesn't he?
Very different. With Star Wars, he focuses on the big operatic elements, the Imperial March, which is a very rhythmic, powerful piece of music, the concept of the Force, this invisible energy field binding the universe, the power of the psyche. It's pure mythology.
Good versus evil on a galactic scale.
Right. But with Dune, and he's talking about both the David Lynch film and the Frank Herbert books, he hones in on the politics, the interplanetary politics, and specifically the exploitation of resources, the spice.
Which feels incredibly relevant to Caribbean history, doesn't it? Resource exploitation.
Incredibly so. You can draw a straight line from the sugar plantations of Haiti, which made it the wealthiest colony in the world at one point, to the spice mines of the planet Arrakis. It's a very powerful connection he's making. He sees the expanding human potential in these stories, but also the cost. The Empire always wants the resource.
Then he flips over to the darker side, Blade Runner.
The ultimate dystopia of technological advancement.
The high-tech, low-life aesthetic. He's fascinated by how technology can advance while society just crumbles and decays. And again, that's relevant to RaRa, which is often the music of the poor and disenfranchised, but is so rhythmically sophisticated.
But he's also searching for truth in these stories. He mentions Star Trek, and specifically his love for Dr. Spock.
The logic. The calm in the middle of all the chaos.
And Captain Picard's diplomacy. L'Amour seems to really value the idea of navigating these dangerous cosmic worlds with intellect and a desire for peace. He doesn't just want to blow things up, he wants to understand them.
But he loves the conspiracy side of it, too. He brings up the X-Files.
Oh yeah, the truth is out there.
I can just picture him as a kid watching Mulder and Scully thinking, yes, they get it.
Totally. And then movies like Contact and Stargate. These are crucial to his philosophy because they deal with the intersection of ancient technology and interstellar travel.
Right, Stargate is literally about portals built by ancient civilizations, Egyptian gods who are actually aliens.
If you look at Cosmic RaRa, that's exactly what Lamore is doing. He's using ancient instruments, which are a form of technology, to travel through space and time.
That is a great connection. He's building his own Stargate out of drums and trumpets. He's both the archaeologist and the astronaut.
Precisely. And he also mentions films like Gattaca and Dark City, which explore constructed realities. They ask these big questions about the nature of reality itself. Are we in a simulation? How much of our life is programmed?
And then, amidst all this heavy, dark, philosophical sci-fi, he throws in cartoons from his childhood. Goldorak, Astro Boy, and the Mysterious Cities of Gold.
And he says something so lovely about them. He says he viewed them as music rather than just entertainment. And if you remember, the Mysterious Cities of Gold.
Oh, I loved that show.
It was all about exploring the new world, finding ancient civilizations, and this amazing solar-powered ship, the Golden Condor. It fits his theme perfectly. It's the wonder of the ancient combined with the technology of the future.
It's incredible how what we watch as kids wires our brains for the rest of our lives. He saw that solar-powered bird and just thought, yeah, that makes sense to me.
And Astro Boy, the robot, with a human soul. It's all there in his foundation.
So his brain is just marinating in all this sci-fi imagery. He's got the Haitian roots in his blood, and he's got the stars in his eyes. Now let's talk about the sound. Section 4, the sonic architecture of space. Because he lists some really heavy influences here. He's not just watching movies, he's listening to the soundtrack of the cosmos.
And he starts with the funk.
Yeah.
Has to start with the funk, specifically Parliament Funkadelic, George Clinton.
You cannot talk about space and music and not talk about P-Funk. They literally landed a giant spaceship on stage during their concerts.
They did. And Lamore dives into what he calls the funk encyclopedia. He loves their terminology. He treats it like it's a real science textbook.
The definitions are just brilliant. They're hilarious and profound at the same time. The Big Bang Theory is defined as ignition by funk.
It completely reframes the creation of the universe as a musical act, a rhythmic act. And a black hole becomes the prime zone of funkativity, home to Starchild. But the most important concept is the mothership. It's the chariot, the vehicle of salvation and celebration.
And the one, the first beat of the measure, representing wholeness.
The one is everything in funk music. You can do whatever you want on beats 2, 3, and 4, but you have to come back and land on the one. It represents unity. And the takeaway he cites is that classic George Clinton line, "Free your mind and your ass will follow."
It's such a famous line, but when you apply it to Lamore's whole philosophy, it takes on this new weight, doesn't it?
It becomes central to Cosmic RaRa. It's intellectual, free your mind, read the books, study the stars, but it's also physical. Your ass will follow. You have to dance, you have to move, you have to play the drum. It's that duality again.
It has to make you think, but it also has to make you move.
Exactly. If it's just thinking, it's a lecture. If it's just moving, it's a workout. Cosmic RaRa has to be both.
So from the funk, he moves to the jazz side of the cosmos, Sun Ra.
The godfather of Afrofuturism. You just can't have this conversation without him. Lamore calls him the voice of Afrofuturism before the term even existed.
Space is the place.
That is the mantra. I mean, Sun Ra claimed he was from Saturn. He dressed in these incredible robes that looked like a mix of ancient Egypt and futuristic space gear. He embodied the entire aesthetic that Lamore is chasing.
And Lamore quotes him extensively. I love this one. The possible has been tried and failed. Now it's time to try the impossible.
And that links right back to his art teacher, doesn't it? Discarding the im from impossible. Sun Ra was saying that all the earthly solutions, politics, economics, they failed black people. So we have to look to the impossible, to the cosmic, for salvation and freedom.
Sun Ra also said, space is not only high, it's low. It's a bottomless pit.
Which again echoes Lamore's whole muddy water and starlight concept. Space isn't just up there. It's a depth. It's an abyss. It's both scary and beautiful.
But Lamore's influences aren't limited to black music traditions. He goes into rock and electronic music too. He mentions Gustav Holst's The Planets.
The classical suite, yeah. Mars, the bringer of war. Venus, the bringer of peace, and he specifically mentions the Azaf-Tamida electronic version from the 70s.
Which shows he's interested in the texture of space. Tamida used all these early synthesizers to make space sound weird and electronic and alien.
And he brings up Earth, Wind and Fire's Fantasy. The lyrics are literally, take a ride in the sky on our ship, Fantasia.
Earth, Wind and Fire brought the pyramids and Egyptian iconography to the stage. They were mixing ancient Egypt with spaceships just like Sun Ra, but they made it pop music. They made it accessible to everyone.
And then prog rock. This surprised me a little bit at first. Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, King Crimson, the Alan Parsons Project.
But it makes sense if you think about the scale of it. Prog rock loves huge concepts. He quotes a lyric from Alan Parsons' Eye in the Sky. I am the maker of rules dealing with fools. He's drawn to these grand, almost godlike perspectives you find in prog rock. The eye in the sky is the satellite, the all-seeing observer.
And King Crimson's in the Court of the Crimson King. I mean, that song sounds like a dystopian prophecy set to music.
It really does. And of course, you have to mention Jimi Hendrix, Voodoo Chili, and Astro Man. Hendrix is the ultimate bridge between the earthy blues and rock tradition and the cosmic psychedelic experience. Voodoo Chili, that's grounding it in the mystical. But the guitar playing is from another planet entirely.
And finally, we have to talk about hip-hop. He calls it scientific madness.
This is his generation's contribution to the cosmic conversation, the intersection of street culture and cosmology. He kicks it off with Africa Bambaata's Planet Rock, which is foundational.
It sampled Kraftwerk, this cold German electronic music, and mixed it with beats from the Bronx. That is a cosmic fusion right there in one track.
But he also focuses on the lyricists. Outkast's album Aliens.
E.T., Extraterrestrial. Andre 3000 and Big Boy were literally framing themselves as outcasts, as aliens in the rap game.
And GZA from the Wu-Tang Clan having conversations with Neil deGrasse Tyson.
That actually happened. They have these recorded talks about physics. The idea that rhyming and quantum physics are connected through the liquid swords, the flow of energy. It's incredible.
Rakim track, The Mystery Who Is God.
That song's basically a theology lesson over a beat. Rakim breaks down the entire nature of the universe in, like, 3 minutes.
And Killah Priest's album Heavy Mental, there's a quote Lemore pulls from Killah Priest. That is it's pure poetry. Voyaging 144 billion light years through the shadows of your imagination.
Through the shadows of your imagination. That is heavy mental. It's suggesting that the inner space of your mind is just as vast and unexplored as outer space.
It directly connects the internal imagination with the external universe. It validates the idea that exploring your own mind is the same as exploring the galaxy.
And we shouldn't forget the French connection he makes. The group IAM and their song L'Empire du Côté Obscur, which is the Empire of the Dark Side.
Right. IAM is a legendary French hip-hop group, and they were heavily influenced by Egyptian mythology and Star Wars. Since Lemore is from a Canadian, specifically Quebec, context, that French influence is really key to his perspective.
So, okay. We have this massive melting pot of influences. We've got Tainilo drums, Haitian tin trumpets, P-Funk motherships, prog rock synthesizers, and Wu-Tang lyrics about physics. How does he possibly synthesize all this? What's the intellectual framework that holds it all together? This brings us to Section 5.
He doesn't just rely on pop culture. He digs into the science and the spiritual texts. He mentions reading Hubert Reeves, the famous astrophysicist, but he's also reading the Bhagavad Gita, ancient Egyptian texts, and this book called The Serious Mystery by Robert Temple.
The Serious Mystery. That book basically argues that the Dogon people of Mali knew about the Sirius B star system long before modern telescopes discovered it.
And they knew this supposedly through contact with amphibious alien beings.
Exactly. It's a staple of ancient astronaut theory. Lemore is clearly looking for the common thread that runs across all these different disciplines. He wants to know if the physicist, the priest, and the ancient tribesmen are all talking about the same fundamental thing.
He is, and he finds a huge inspiration in Nikola Tesla.
Tesla is almost the patron saint of cosmic RaRa, in a way. Lemore talks about Tesla's belief in wireless communication from other worlds. I mean, Tesla wasn't just inventing AC current. He was building towers to listen to radio waves coming from Jupiter.
There's a specific letter that Tesla wrote to the Red Cross in 1900 that Lemore quotes. It honestly gives me goosebumps every time I read it. Tesla writes, "Brethren, we have a message from another world." It reads, 1, 2, 3.
It's so simple, but it's so chilling. 1, 2, 3.
Why do you think that specific quote is so significant to Lemore?
Because it implies intelligence.
Right.
Random cosmic static doesn't count. 1, 2, 3 implies order. But most importantly, it implies rhythm. It's a beat. It's a time signature. Lemore sees this as cosmic proof that the fundamental language of the universe is rhythmic. The aliens aren't sending us an encyclopedia. They're sending us a beat.
And that validates his entire project. If the universe speaks in rhythm, then RaRa, which is pure, unadulterated rhythm, is a cosmic language.
Precisely. And he connects the scientific curiosity with a Haitian artistic movement called spiralism.
Franketian's spiralism, I've heard of this, but can you unpack it for us? It sounds dizzy.
Franketian is a giant of Haitian literature and painting, and spiralism is his philosophy. It's characterized by what he calls vivid passion and insanity. It anchors our reality in the beyond. It completely rejects the straight line. It argues that life and history and the universe itself are nonlinear. They spiral outwards.
Like a galaxy?
Like a galaxy. Like a strand of DNA. Like a hurricane. Like a conch shell.
Oh, wow. The Lambie horn. It comes right back around.
Everything spirals. Doesn't move in a straight line from point A to point B. It expands in circles. It's the perfect structure for cosmic RaRa. The music loops. But it evolves with each repetition. It spirals.
And he also brings in this idea of cosmic yoga, citing an author named Alain Danielot.
And this brings us right back to where we started, with the microcosm and the macrocosm. The idea that you can understand the universe by understanding yourself. If you can tune your own body, the muddy water, through yoga or music, you can then tune into the frequency of the stars.
So all of this research, all of this listening, all of this philosophizing, it actually results in something tangible. He didn't just write a manifesto. He went and made the music.
Yes, the offspring of RaRa, as he calls it. He calls his project RaRa, and it's an instrumental album.
And the track titles are all in Haitian Creole. Okra, Nan Sauce, Tikuto Go Kuto, which means little knife, big knife.
Zo Bois Shek, which means dry wood bones, Kwa Congo, Congo peas. These titles feel so grounded, so traditional. They reference food, tools, folklore. Little knife, big knife implies a struggle or a lesson. Okra is a type of fritter. It's food.
But the visual aesthetic that he pairs these tracks with is all spiral art, the Quantic way, and tributes to the Dogon people and Nikola Tesla.
It's that duality again, appropriately realized. The titles are Creole, that's the muddy water. The visuals are quantum, that's the starlight. The sound is the bridge between them.
It's the full realization of the mission. He's actually created the vehicle, this album, that carries the heritage into the imagination. He's proving his own hypothesis.
And by keeping the titles in Creole, he's making a powerful statement. He's asserting that this culture, this language, belongs in the future. He's not renaming them Starship 1 or Galaxy 5. He's saying Okra is a cosmic concept.
That is so powerful. It's a refusal to assimilate into some generic, sanitized sci-fi aesthetic. It's about keeping your identity while you travel the stars.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean for us, for you, listening? We've covered a lot of ground here. We've gone from ancient log drums to Tesla coils.
I think the big picture takeaway for me is how L'Amour uses this idea of cosmic RaRa to navigate between utopia and dystopia. I mean, we live in a world that feels more and more like a sci-fi movie every day, and often not the good kind.
Definitely the Blade Runner kind. High-tech, low-life, climate change, political instability.
Right. And it's so easy to feel hopeless or disconnected or just anxious. But L'Amour reminds us that we have tools. We have ancient technology, our roots, our culture, our own muddy water that can ground us so we don't just float away in anxiety.
And we have our imagination, our starlight, that can help us transcend the immediate problems and envision a new kind of future.
We don't have to choose between them. We actually need both to survive.
We need the mud to stand on, and we need the stars to aim for. It's about connecting the drumbeat in your chest to the heartbeat of the universe.
And recognizing that the impossible might just be a setting on the control panel we haven't unlocked yet, just like his teacher said.
Which brings us to our final thought. L'Amour quotes Sun Ra. The possible has been tried and failed. Now it's time to try the impossible.
That's the challenge, isn't it? The possible, the status quo, it isn't really working for a lot of people. So maybe we have to get weird. Maybe we have to get cosmic.
So here's our question for you listening right now. What is your impossible fusion? What are the muddy waters of your own past? Your traditions, your family history, the things that ground you, that you can connect to the starlight of your future? What does your internal universe sound like?
Listen to those rhythms. They might just take you somewhere completely unexpected.
Thanks for diving deep with us. Keep looking up.
And keep listening.
Catch you on the next wave.